So welcome to another NJThrives Small Business webinar. Before we get started, if everyone could put a 1 in the chat, just so I can make sure that you can hear me, see the screen, that'd be super helpful. Awesome. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Shamara. Thank you, Alex, Darrell, Laura. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Cool. So I think we're ready to start. So I'm your host, Christian Pichardo, NJSBDC Specialty Consultant and CEO at nilimamedia.com. And we're the NJSBDC, America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. And for those of you who don't know, we're a statewide program powered by the SBA and partners. And we help small businesses in New Jersey with 3 things: no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, and exclusive small business resources only available to our clients. So with that being said, our agenda for today, we go over a couple of headlines, news items. After that, we'll jump into the webinar. And after the webinar, we have about 5 or 10 minutes at the end for a Q&A. So as far as headlines, our first one, we have 2 training related news items. So this is a tuition-free executive leadership training program. It's designed by the ICIC, Initiative for a Competitive Inner City. So they have just opened up in New Jersey, so that's why this one is still sort of blacked out, but great information, great program, great institution. So I'd highly encourage everyone who's curious about this, read up on it, watch some of the videos, see if it makes sense for you and your business. Number 2, we're really excited about this one. So America's SBDC. So we are the NJSBDC, but we're part of a larger network called America's Small Business Development Centers Network. And we have an office in almost every county of every state in the country, including some islands like Puerto Rico, Guam, and stuff like that. But we were able to get a partnership with the Better Business Bureau. And that's super exciting because we both serve the same audience and we're both able to help the same people, small businesses just like you. So we're happy to announce that and see where this partnership takes us and the Better Business Bureau and the small businesses that know us. But here is the link to a directory of where to find your local Better Business Bureau. So we're going to put all these links, by the way, in the chat. And the last one here is Brick City Entrepreneurship Training. So this link is to the application, but basically it is what it says right here, a 1-month part-time boot camp, and it's going to train multicultural individuals in foundational entrepreneurial skills. Looks like it's mainly for tech startups or Main Street small business founders. So if that is you, I would encourage you to go ahead and apply. And I don't see any deadlines here, but it seems July 2022 is either a start date or it could be an application deadline. So if you are to apply, I would do it before July. So that is our 3 news items for the week. Now, before we get into the webinar, 2 things to keep in mind. Please type your questions into the Q&A box. So in your Zoom window on the bottom, you're going to see one side that says chat, the other right next to it, there should be something that says Q&A. So put your questions in there. You can ask anonymously as well, if you'd like. And then number 2 is to complete a 3-minute survey. These are super important to us because they'll let us know what you need from a future event, and whether you're satisfied with all of our events. So once you complete that survey, you'll get access to the webinar materials, such as the presentation of our speaker today and the webinar recording. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ginny Rock Bailey. She is president at Rock Bailey Enterprises and specialty consultant at the NJSBDC, going to show us the Small Businesses Guide to Procurement. How are you, Ginny?
I'm fine. Thanks, Christian, for the,
Of course.
let me just share my screen here.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm president of Rock Bailey Enterprises, and this webinar could not be more timely for me because so many of my clients are at this stage right now where they're ready to participate in the opportunities that procurement has to offer. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just share with you some of the topics that I'll be covering today. And I want you, as I'm covering these topics, I want you to look at yourself and your business and see where you are. Where are you at this stage of the game? Because if you decide, when you decide to participate in a procurement opportunity, all of you and all of what you have in your business must also participate with you. This isn't an opportunity where you say, oh, I think I'm going to do it, and then you stop and, oh, I'll get back to it. This is a serious opportunity for our businesses because I see what the end game has for you when you participate wholly. So I'm going to go over what is a procurement. I'm going to give you 2 definitions for it. I'm going to talk about the language of procurement. You think about different words that you use to motivate and guide you. Well, that's the same way in the procurement, not game, but in the procurement process. And then I'm going to share with you the documents that you need to compete in this process. And these documents are not only good for the procurement process, but they're much needed. And not only the certification and the registration process, but they're much needed in how your business is perceived. Then I'm going to ask you to ask yourself some questions at this stage of the presentation, because at this stage, you should clearly understand whether this is for you or not. Procurement opportunity, participating in this opportunity isn't for everyone, but that's okay too. But you should know what's expected of you and where you should be at a certain point in your, at a certain point of your business to know that this is the right time and you're ready for it. The importance of marketing your business as well as marketing yourself is key to the success in the procurement business. Then doing your due diligence. Have you done everything you're supposed to do to be perceived as someone who's ready to participate in the procurement process? And the last one is when you know you're ready. And we're going to review that. When are you really ready? And I said earlier, it's not good to stop and start, but if that is what your business is telling you to do, then you should follow it. So procurement. For our purposes, for the business purpose, it's the process of purchasing goods or services, and it usually refers to business spending. Business procurement requires preparation, solicitation, and payment processes, and which usually involves several areas of the company. So the definition is very specific, and it's telling you what you need to prepare to participate in the procurement process. So what I thought would be of interest, if I also shared with you what the definition of the procurement process is on the other side. The procurement process when you're dealing with institutions is much greater. It's in more detail than what it is for us just to provide the goods and services. It's important for you to know what's expected of you and how the institution is looking at their definition of procurement. And I found this part very interesting, especially when it comes to talking to my clients, because we're looking at getting you ready to position your company and position your product and make sure that you have everything you need. And then on the other end, the institutions are looking at the complex process that it takes to make sure that they're going to identify the right business with the right product that should get the award. So it involves every activity involved in obtaining the goal, the goods and services a company needs to support its daily operations. So there's a lot in this definition. It's not just the fact that you know you have the best product. It's the fact that, do you have the right business operations? Are you implementing the right business operations that you can ensure will support the opportunity that you're going after? So I just listed a few things that the other side, the institution, is looking at when they're considering selecting a company with the right product. They're looking at the sourcing. They're looking at the negotiation terms. They're looking at how are we going to purchase this item. They're looking at how it's going to be received and inspected. They're looking at how we're going to do this. They're looking at the fact that this business has got to have effective record-keeping records of all the steps it takes to participate in this activity. So when we think about, I'm ready, I've spent a lot of time putting my product together. I spent a lot of time being affirmed that what I'm doing is the right thing, but that my business may be a little off. They're looking at how you operate your business, how your payroll system works, how your records work, how many employees do you have? And I'm going to get into this in a little bit more detail, but it's more than just your product. For so many businesses, this is the opportunity for you to shine because you put so much time and attention into your business. So what is the language of procurement? Similar to what is the language that moves procurement? Well, the language are quotes. And quotes is something that you can offer. It can be a one-sheet deal where you put your product down and what the price is for that. There's a bidding process that you can participate in where you sign up to bid on a product. And I'm talking in general terms because I want you to understand what you need to think about when you're going to participate and how you're going to participate. The request for a proposal, I think, is the most daunting request because, and so many of my clients will say, you know, Jen, I've got this proposal, but they want so much information. And so, yeah, they want so much information because they want to make sure that you're the right business for it. So often that is not the most successful way for businesses to participate in the procurement process. Not until you're ready. And my clients will say, well, why do they need to know all this information? Because they're thinking about giving you money. They want to make sure that you're the right business for the opportunity. Request for qualifications. It is an overview of what makes you as good as you think you are. So you list the businesses that you've been involved in, your clients. You list the qualifications of people, of your employees or 1099s that you solicit information from that work with you. You take the time to review your qualifications as a business and you reply to that. Request for information, it's like, for me, the request for information is like a teaser. It's like, I want to know if you're the right person for this. So I'm going to put this out, and then you're going to respond to it with all the information that proves that you're ready to participate in this bid, this opportunity that we're thinking of putting out. And I think the letter of intent is something that our businesses meaning small businesses, often fall short on, because even if there is no stated opportunity in the universe, you as a business has the right to submit a letter of intent to a municipality, a county government, an entity, on what you think you can do for that business. And this is, I think, this is where it's so cool in many ways, because once you get through a certification process, and then the next step for you is to look at how you can promote your certification, the letter of intent is that opportunity to let people know what you can do. And by the way, I have an MBE, a WBE, an MWBE. I'm a disabled vet, I'm a vet, I have SBE. This is your opportunity to say, look, I know you may not have anything out there, but I think it's noteworthy for me to let you know what I can do. And I'm putting myself in it because I'm a small business. Sometimes I'm so focused on the ask that I forget to tell the story. And that's what the letter of intent will allow you to do. So we look at the documents needed to compete. And I use the word to compete because your methodology of operating your business at this level is competition. You are competing with businesses, same or similar, that want what you want. And you want to make sure that you may not be the most qualified or the business selected because there was some business that added a little bit more sweetener to what they had to offer than being denied because you didn't have your documents together. Because that in itself is I don't want to say it's an example, but it may be an indication that there may be some other items in your business that are not together. So you definitely want to have an EIN number. And most LLCs, single partner corporations, have EIN numbers. It's those sole proprietors that I sometimes worry about, especially my businesses, because they have slamming businesses. Their methodology is to stay small. Jen, I want to stay small. But then I want to let them know that this is a different setting than when you started your business. There are businesses out there who aren't as kind as I would like them to be. And they may steal your information if you use your social security number. So even if you may not want to be as big as some other businesses, what you definitely want to be is secure. So I advise sole proprietors to get an EIN number, apply through the IRS. Everything is just so much easier now, but don't let the fact that you want to remain small prohibit you from getting your EIN number, okay? Remember that in your smallness, you're still competing, and you want to make sure that you have the right document to secure your assets. And that's what the EIN number can do. The business registration certificate is one that gives me the most angst, because so often businesses think they're registered, but they forgot to complete or were not instructed to complete the last 2 pages of the registration document online. And sometimes you don't find that out until it's the worst time. when you're applying or participating in a procurement opportunity, you find out that your business isn't thoroughly registered, which basically means that you registered it as far as the federal taxes are concerned, but you didn't register it as far as the New Jersey tax section is concerned. And I know why. I know why a lot of businesses haven't, because some of the questions are so not relevant to what they do. They say, this can't be for me. So they move on. But if you don't have your business registration certificate, then you're not fully registered. And that can get in the way of procurement opportunities, but it can also get in the way of you becoming certified with the state of New Jersey, because that is a definite red flag for them. It's not a bad red flag. It just gets in the way of your goal to get certified or to do business. So my rule of thumb, especially in the certification world, is before I start certifications on businesses or in my other webinars when I talk about certification, I recommend my participants to test out your EIN number before you go through the entire process. Start the certification process by putting in your name, establishing your username, do whatever the perfunctory obligations are, and then put your EIN number and see what happens. If you get the congratulations, you're ready to go, then you're ready to go. If you get that warning that says the name doesn't match the EIN number, most of the time it's because you haven't completed your business registration certificate. So why wait? If you're thinking about procurement, if you're thinking about more or less on certifications, test your EIN number first. And that eliminates a lot of heartache, because so many times the businesses are ready to go and now they're stopped. But what I found that it's done is it's demotivated the owner. So I would rather have you do it than not do it. Another thing is a necessity if you're a corporation, and some with LLCs, are articles of incorporation. Make sure that you have those, and make sure that you know what's in it, and that your articles speak to the way you run your business. Make sure that you have your certificate of incorporation, and it's more than having it at this point. It's, do you know where it is? And my rule of thumb is, when you're participating in procurement or certification, you establish a file in your system that speaks to the documents that you have. And as you add on, you save that in your document file. And then you can divide them up by what they were needed for. But the bottom line is that you have them in a secure place where you can easily retrieve them. And I think and I hate to look at this as, just on a checklist, but if you want to compete, you have to have these documents. Your certificate of authority is another one. If you're going to work, if your business isn't registered in the state of New Jersey, you need a certificate of authority to say that you're eligible to work in the state of New Jersey. And that's not just New Jersey. Wherever you're going to work, if it's outside of your home state, you're going to need a certificate of authority that says Rock Bailey is ready to go. She's completed all the necessary documents, and she is ready to participate in the activities in the state of New Jersey, New York, wherever I choose to go. Now, the operating partnership or management agreement, I tell my clients to look at it as a will. When you write a will, you're very thoughtful, yet focused on who's going to get what. That's what the operating partnership or management agreement is. You indicate what partner is responsible for what. If it's the partner that has the most invested in the business, you want to make sure that they're doing a little bit more. The other partners may have a specific function that they're responsible for, and a management agreement is how you're going to manage the company, right? And I get back to the will part. Because in light of what we've been through, but I was even saying this before COVID, but more with our COVID experience, I have noticed that in some situations, there were businesses that had a hardship, whether it was the death of a partner or someone got sick and couldn't perform those duties. You want to make sure that your operating agreement speaks to what happens. What happens in the case? Whether it's a partner just wakes up and says, I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to move on. You want to make sure that you have statements in there that support the what ifs. So you may not have all of them in there. You can have a statement that addresses that also, but you want to make sure that the reader of this agreement understands that you took the time to consider it. And that's what's really important. For your certifications, I could go on and on about certifications, which I'm not because this isn't the webinar for that. But I will tell you that I have seen what the certifications have done, the respective certifications have done for the small business owner. You get it so you can increase your revenue. You get it so you can let people know that your businesses have been vetted by the state. You get it so you can know that you are a player and that you think enough of your business that you want to make sure that if there's something out there that will enhance your ability to get to the top of the pile, get to the top of the list, you've done it. So if you haven't done your certification yet, strongly consider it. Another item that's really important for all of us is our business taxes, your business tax returns. Make sure I don't miss anything on that. So your business tax returns are really important. You want to make sure that you have them. And in some instances, if you were not able to do them, you want to make sure that you have a letter from your auditor saying that they weren't done and will be done. You want to make sure that you have something that says you've gotten an extension, especially when it comes with the certifications. But your business tax returns are another indication that your business is solvent to the extent that you submitted your most recent tax returns. And if you haven't done it, don't beat yourself up. Just do it. Schedule it. Do it. Put it on your weekend schedule to get those taxes done. I do believe the IRS is still behind. Some of my clients are saying they're real active, but I still believe that they're still behind, but it's never too late to do them. So make sure you do your business taxes. Another thing too is if you're required to have business insurance, get it. If you're thinking about participating in the procurement activity or procurement opportunity, and you're required to have workers' compensation, seek out the best workers' compensation policy. Get the best liability insurance policy that you can get. You can go online. I think one of the best resources for this is when you're in a networking group or a professional group and you inquire what kinds of workers' compensation policy does your colleague have or another business have? What kind of liability insurance do you have and where did you get it? I think the profit and loss statements or profit and loss and balance sheet statements are really important. Those of you who are using an app right now, QuickBooks, Xero, whatever you're using, they can produce those for you. And I think they're also just good to have, but it's necessary when you're going to participate in a procurement opportunity. But I think even my sole proprietors, I have them do a profit and loss statement because you need to know what's coming in and what's going out. And where you stand, what your liabilities are, what your assets are. You can get a list of assets so you can hone in on what's really important to you. And it's a necessity, but it also makes your business so much more complementary when it comes to making decisions about being selected. So you have to have a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. And you want to make sure that you can interpret what's on it. Now, the NACE codes are another one that's really important. And these codes are used for, the NACE codes are used to identify your products. It's also used to identify product. It's also used to identify areas that you may not have sought after that others know you could have done, especially people in institutions who are familiar with the product and familiar with NACE codes and why you did not select one. And it's not to say that will negate you getting it, but it just raises a question. But it is a mandatory set of codes that you must have when you're going to compete. And if you, I wanted to think if it was in the 2 pages of the business registration certificate, but it isn't, because they're asking for another code, your SIC code. But if you do not have your NACE codes available, you need to get them. And they're also the census codes. I mean, people think about, well, what does it stand for? I mean, what is, once you get involved in this whole procurement family, it's like alphabet soup. There are so many acronyms for so many things. I asked a client yesterday, now, what do you mean by this one? Because there are so many acronyms that are also the same. But the NACE codes are important, and it stands for, I didn't say the National American Industrial Codes, I think that's what it is. I'd written it down, but it's NACE codes, and they're important. And you can find them by going through census.gov, NAIC. You can find them with going through, that's the best source. I don't want to give you another source, but going to US Census is the best source for you to get your NACE codes. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Are you ready to take on a new business? These are questions that I want you to sit on your mind when you're thinking about getting involved in a procurement opportunity. Are you ready to take on new business? Will the business change the culture of your company? Will the new business change the culture of your company? So when you look at question number 1, that could be, will I have to add employees? Will I have to change some of my operations? May I have to add on another space because we're not big enough to house either the products that we'd have, warehouse space, or employees? But will it change the culture of your company? And one of the responses to this question from a client was, I like being able to reach out and talk to my employees and have coffee with them and meet them and, act as if we're a family. This business, because of the volume, may change my interaction with my coworkers, with the people that work with me. So these are things that you have to consider. How will the business change the operations of the company? Will you have to hire more people? The operations were fine before that. Will the new business change what I have to do to complete or to meet the obligations of if you're awarded the contract? Will this change impact the operations of how we do business? Will the operations of the business remain sustainability? I mean, based on the government payment terms. Sometimes I want to put this up at the top, but I think it scares people. But if you're not prepared financially to wait, and the rule of thumb is 45 days, even though it could be 90, but if you don't have the revenue to wait the 45 days before you're paid, then you have to think about if you're ready for that. And I know that many of the businesses participated in PPP and EIDL, got loans and other things, but this is the time where you look at your finances and say, yes, I want that $200,000 award, but Am I ready to wait for that first payment? Am I ready to change the culture of the business for it? Am I ready for what that's going to do with how I run my business right now? So um, this provides an opportunity for businesses to not only look at what the financial gain may be, but to also look at how this may be the best opportunity for you to make some of these changes because you're ready for them. But it also allows you to say, I don't think we're ready to do this. Let me just step back for a minute, and you have every right to do it. But let me step back for a minute and revisit these questions after I put some things in place that I have wanted to do for a while. Do you have a plan to scale up or scale down for the new business? And it's anything is possible. Anything is possible. But when you look at making these changes, again, you have to look at how the overall change may do more damage to what your existing business structure is than what it's worth. So you have to be 100% committed to participating in the procurement award. So you look at marketing, and I can remember a time where many of the businesses did not have web pages. So I'm not going to go down the list. I'm just going to go how it comes out. And I can remember when many of the small businesses were so glad that they had email addresses. I mean, some of you may not know this, but they were so glad that they were able to get an email address that to get a web page was like, oh, I'll do that when I have to. And I can also remember, because of the time, saying that it's not mandatory. The documents are mandatory. Having a web page is not mandatory. I don't say that anymore. I don't. I strongly encourage the business to increase their social media presence and start by having a web page. I'm not talking about having 40 pages. I'm talking about having a web presence that will allow you to be seen from people from all over the world. And that alone is intimidating to some businesses because they can't fathom that. It depends on the business. It depends on the owner. It depends on who you surround yourself with. But I'm suggesting at this point, to not have a website is to not compete, whether it's 1 page or 2 page, to not have a presence of a website that speaks to what you do, your values, what your services are, and your commitment to your customer. All of this can be on 1 page, but I'm saying without it, you're not competing. You want to enhance your company's overall PR and marketing program. And that can be done in many ways. You can increase your networking. You can produce marketing tools that speak to your customer in many different venues. And I'm not shocked, but when you think about TikTok and the other messaging platforms, people are using it to promote their businesses. Not all of the things on TikTok or some of the other ones will promote your business, but what it does is it allows you to let people know that not only are you present, but you're reaching out to them. Because you can be present. A phone can make you present. By giving out your phone number can make you present. But when you talk about enhancing your whole social media portfolio, presence, profile, you're talking about a concerted effort to be seen. And that's what you want to do. You want to be seen. And then some might say, well, why is it a big deal in procurement? They're just looking at my product. They're not just looking at your product. They're looking at your presence on the web. And so that also brings me to the fact that if you have social media accounts, don't mix them with your personal. And I'm probably telling you things you already know, but don't mix them with your personal accounts. When you're on your business account, even with Twitter, you say things that are healthy and remain and keep your business in a positive light, unless you're in that business. But most of the small businesses, most businesses really want to promote a very positive profile of what they do. And that's what you want to do. The personal side, showing your children, your vacation, unless you're in the tourism business, for your vacation, that's not relevant. It may not be relevant to promoting your business. And that's what you're doing. And as owners, we don't have the luxury to start at 9 and end at 5. As an owner, so often we're always on. We can be approached about our business in many places. And so you want to make sure that you're ready for that your promotional items reflect the business that you have. So you want to make sure that you have a domain for your email. And I laugh at this too, because including myself, so many of us have a domain for our email, but there's something about that Gmail, you just seem to be able to get there quicker. I'm not saying to give it up. I'm just saying that make sure that you know when to use your domain email. Because I know I separate it. Once, as I'm discussing things with a client, doing business with a client, I may discuss it on my Gmail. Once I make them a client, they go over to my domain email. And let me just add something else to the website. You want to have a contact tab on your website, how people can reach you. Initially, I did not have that because I was just starting out and I just want to put a website out and I wanted people to think it was cool. Now, that is such a draw and an invitation for people to set up, for businesses to set an appointment to find out a little bit more. So that 15-minute consultation has turned into much more when I look at relationships and how the business has grown. So if you have one page that speaks to what you do, and you may not be ready for a second page for contact, make sure that there's contact information on that one page where people can reach you, hopefully through email. Leave a phone number as well, but hopefully through email. And then you also want to continue to bring traffic to your site. And how you do that, another great way to promote your business is through LinkedIn as well. If you're not on LinkedIn, free or paid, you need to do it tonight. If you're serious about operating and putting your business in a venue that is professional, that people are going to, it's one of the highest online sites where people go to not only promote their business, but to meet people who are in similar businesses, or to be contacted by people who saw something that you posted or response to something that you posted and wanted to know a little bit about you. To like a website, I think it might be a reach, missing out on opportunities of people you never know, may have never, ever come into your universe. You may see something that they post, or they may have someone that they're on LinkedIn with, that you're on LinkedIn with, that you'd like an introduction. So don't lose the fact that LinkedIn is a very serious tool to promote yourself and your business. I know they just had a promotion where you could use so many functions of the business for nothing or a little cost. I know I was invited to do that. And I especially wanted to see who was looking at me, because if you had the free, you can only see who stopped by. When you pay, you can see who's really looking at you. And I think that sometimes you don't want it, but I think that's an excellent way for you to promote your business and for you to promote yourself. And not only from a PR standpoint, but it's an information site where you can go on and get so much information about your business, about businesses that you're interested in, people that you may be interested in talking to or bringing on board. There's just, I could go on, and I'm not being paid by LinkedIn, but I could go on and on about the benefits of being a part of LinkedIn. And this last important marketing tool is something that's so overlooked by so many businesses, and that's your capability statement. And when I talk to clients, I want to say that it's better now that they're more informed about a capability statement, but so many of them are not. And it's not a glorified business card. It could be considered a resume about your business. And the capability is all about you. The capability statement is all about your business. It is what your intent is, what your objective is. It can have your mission, vision, value statement on there. You definitely have your NACE codes. And I also recommend for local clients that they should include their New Jersey commodity codes on there, their NIGP codes, because sometimes that's the extent of which people who are businesses that are looking at you and people, they want to know if your codes match up to what they're looking for. But the capability statement, not only is it impressive if you're in, now we're back to one-on-one, we're in person. So not only is it impressive if you can hand it to someone, but it's also impressive if you can share it with them from your mobile. I tell my clients, have your certificates and your capability statement ready to share. Wherever you go, it's got to be ready to share, because it's popular, but it's not as popular as it should be. So when you say, well, let me just send my capability statement over, you will get a snapshot of everything we do, because you may not have that opportunity to be in their presence again. It's very impressive. And I think the bigger the client that you're interested in pursuing, or yes, the bigger the client that you're interested in pursuing, because that client could also be a purchasing agent for an institution, because you want to know them as well. They are impressed when a small business gives them a capability statement. I know it. They're just like, oh, a capability statement. That's what you want to leave them with. You want to leave them with that, oh, this is nice. This is what I was looking for. And it saves them the opportunity of trying to remember you, but it also gives them the motivation when they land, when they leave that venue, that networking opportunity, to say, I have the opportunity to really look this company up right now. So you don't want to be in a position where, I say you don't want to be, but you want to move yourself away from the position of telling anyone that you'll send them the information. I'll get back to you once I get back to the office. The office is where you are right now. The office is in you. So you want to make sure that you let them know that I can just send you my capability statement. And if you need more information, all the contact information is there. So that means you have your web page, you have your email. I also include a phone number, because some people are still old school and want to call you. I mean, I'm one of them too. I want to hear your voice. So I also include the phone number on my capability statement. And I've gotten to the point now where I can take a little bit more liberties because of the clients that I want to attract. Liberties in the sense of my capability doesn't have to be on, it doesn't have to be shared on a white piece of paper and all the text is black. No, I can add some color to it because I want to be remembered. And that's what the capability statement will allow you to be. Again, Now, my focus is to prepare you for participating in a procurement opportunity through your documents, through your presence, to your knowledge of where you should be as an owner before you decide to take it. Take that opportunity, because what I'm seeing right now is more businesses than I would have suspected are becoming part of the procurement opportunity that they wanted to, whether they're a prime or a sub. So that's a good thing. And that means that they were ready, So what does all this mean? It means that you have to be in a position to do your due diligence. And we do our due diligence in so many areas. We do our due diligence when we want to make that purchase for office equipment. We do that due diligence when we want to bring on someone to be a part of our business, to be a part of our business family, to be a part of our culture. We do our due diligence. We do our background checks. You may call somebody, you may sneak on Facebook to see if they have any crazy pictures up. We do our due diligence to make sure that they fit in. It's the same thing when you want to participate in a procurement opportunity. Make sure that you have all your documents ready. All of the documents that I gave you, that I shared with you, are not necessarily all that's needed for your certifications right now, but they're needed for you to be able to compete. And even with your certifications, you would want to have all those documents in case they asked you for it. Okay, so remember that. You want to know who you want to do business with, whether it's a government or a corporate customer. And what's so important about that is that you want to make sure that you know their language, because all of these entities have different procurement language. They're called different, they have different titles for the people that you work with. You want to make sure that you learn the purchasing process for the institution that you want to work. You want to know, especially if you're going in the government space, who those purchasing agents are. I mean, there's so much preparedness that you need to participate in before you take this step, that you should participate in before you take this step. And I have to say that, the SBDCs are a great citadel for you to get this information and to be prepared. So don't overlook them. And you know you're ready when you've identified, completed, and filed your documents. You know you're ready when your operations and PR marketing have been gleaned and you know that they represent the company that you're promoting for the opportunity. You know you're ready when you have identified the space that you want to initially participate in. You know you're ready then. And you know you're ready when you create a digital footprint that will enhance your social profile so you can optimize your website that will bring traffic to your business. This is when you know you're ready. We talked about procurement. Remember the two definitions. We talked about the language of procurement. So often I want to put in the language of love of procurement, but sometimes not. It's not a love relationship. You want to know the documents needed to compete. You want to ask yourselves those questions to ensure that you're ready. And for those that you're not ready for, you want to put a tickler by them and put a goal when you will be ready. You want to make sure that you know the importance of marketing. You market all the time. You want to make sure that you've done your due diligence. And you know when you're ready, when you can check off most of these boxes. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to participate and present this to you. Christian, thank you so much.
Great presentation, Jenny. Thank you so much. I'd like to invite everyone to put your questions into the Q&A box. I am going to, or we're going to answer your questions. Let's see. We have a question here from Tara. She asks, what if you registered a business but have not conducted any business yet? Do you still need to file business taxes?
Yes, you do, because you have to let them know you've already filed that you're in business. So, and I'm not an auditor. I'm not, I'm not part of the IRS. I just know that as a best practice, when my clients did not file business taxes, the assumption was made that you were hiding something. You can file the business taxes up to a certain amount to let them know that you're not eligible to file.
Perfect. All right, so Alex asks, what codes was it that should be tagged with the capability statement?
The NAIC codes, and my best practice for my clients that you should tag the NIGP codes for your local state, for your state. They're the commodity codes. You can also use the commodity codes because there's more of them to have a better understanding of what your NAICE code should be. So you can do the reverse as well.
Perfect. Let's see, do you have any more questions, anyone? Whether it's about this presentation or the NJSBDC in general, we're open to all questions right now. I have a question here I have found in the chat. Are articles of incorporation and certificate of incorporation needed for an LLC?
So, this is really interesting because I have clients that are told that they need their articles of incorporation for an LLC. And I have situations where I've submitted certifications for LLCs where they didn't need it. I use this as my rule of thumb. I do my due diligence to make sure that the company, if it's a corporation, it has them. And then I ask who's ever asking if it's needed. I don't have my LLCs complete articles of incorporation if they're not needed. I want them focused on their partnership agreements, on their making sure that they have their documents. This is the Rock Bailey way, but I would not leave a client hanging without giving them more information based on their company and how they register their business. I hope that answers the question.
Looking for more questions here. Daryl asks, at what stage does a company qualify to be a client of yours?
I want to say at inception, because if I get them early enough, I can make sure that, not that they just do it the Rock Bailey way, but I want to make sure that all of their documents are in order. So it depends. I own a human resources company, and that's what got me into this, which I absolutely love. So I have clients who are just starting out, who are building their organization. They're looking at HR infrastructure. And then for my certification clients, I have clients that may only have 1 or 2 people. So we can, because you only have to have one, and that's the person who's completing the application, to apply. But I think that for Rock Bailey, it's more important to give the information out, to get the information to the person who's starting a business or who's engaging in certifications or procurement. So I don't have one set number. I'll speak to people who are interested in learning.
Perfect. All right, so that's it for questions. I want to thank you, Ginny, for a wonderful presentation. As for everyone, our upcoming webinars, we have one next week, the 16th on Thursday again. It's going to be the impact of the global supply chain disruption on small business and how you can get ahead of it. So you can go ahead and scan the QR code on the right. Just point your camera to the QR code there. And once you point at it, a link will pop up. You click the link, and that is where you can register for this event. Thank you for everyone's participation on this event. And we're the NJSBDC. We've helped over 15,000 plus small businesses now grow with no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. So if you'd like to get started, and if you want to even get matched up with Ginny, and if you're in her SBDC location, then you can go ahead and request counseling at njsbdc.com/request-counseling. So that's about it, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. We're going to get thunderstorms on Sunday, so just be mindful of that. And I'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.